I'm looking at, I've been actually following some stocks, and really Apple's the best tell. So it's holding in this area. I mean, it feels like we can have a push lower. This is the hourly down to back to 4,500. It's kind of Groundhog Day again. It's 4,500. It's been there over and over. I think the longs now will be a little bit tougher, just because now look at the both bands are down. 15 minute. I guess the 5 minutes actually starting to hook up. Interesting. We'll go to the 1 minute just because it's at a critical spot. Just made a lower low. It's got to have that low hold. We'll see. It's a little bit of a mixed bag in the stock world, so Microsoft's been getting beat up. Google's holding in there, and Amazon's up, so we'll see if we can hold in this area. Crude did its top band, bottom band, top band. Another day in the life. Got a pretty good buy right here on the 15-minute early this morning. Looks like it may not hold. We had a couple trades, a buy and then a short. We'll take another shot if we get another press to that lower area down. We just tested the lows here. We actually made a lower low, and we've had higher lows. So we're starting to get some bullish divergences here, but we'll have to watch it. Still feeling pretty heavy, though. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely, this is where once you break down through those certain zones, you got to almost step back to that highest time. You know, I'm gonna just say the hourly is probably the best time frame to look at. That's why I said that 45, pretty much 45.03. Now that we took that out, it'll probably do a kicking and screaming, though. I'm not feeling the big, huge, although the numbers came in consumer sentiment printed 90. They're looking for 95. It's the biggest drop in current conditions since when the U.S. debt was downgraded and they had that debt issue going on. The Chicago PMI printed 46.2, which is a recession or contraction. And then, of course, that GDP number was negative, which is recessionary. Apple's just hanging out at the low, so we'll let this do its thing. Looking at the yen, because that has been, here's the DAX, we'll cover that too. Pretty similar to the NASDAQ. Their market's closing soon, so. Got too many charts. Where's my yen? Yen's bouncing on a 5 minute, so maybe we'll get the stock market bouncing too. Apple's holding its low, so we'll see if this will be a. Let's cover all that up. So NASDAQ prints a new low for the day. Not a lot of sellers in there. Usually if you get a breakdown like that, you'd get a pretty, we'll see on this bounce. If it makes a new low again, then we're probably going to get the bigger push down here. Let's go back to 5 minute. Usually when you break support, you'll get maybe the first bounce on that, and then it's that second trade that really is, if it's a serious break, then it'll go to break to the next level lower. So for the short-term trading, we're kind of in a little bit of a moving market right now. So although the 5 minute is somewhat flat or turning, so what you want to do is on so if you look at like this on the level 2, you know, you'll bid it at a lower price. So this is for short-term trading. If right now it's at 14, you would like to buy it, you might want to buy it at 13 and get that, you know, get that wiggle down. I'm not, because this is the baseline trade. So there you'd be filled at 13. You could even say, I think you can't really put a stop in at the low, because a lot of times it prints a low and then ramps. So we'll watch it print a low, and then okay, so now it printed a low. If it doesn't bounce right away, then you got to get out. So remember, you're long at 13. So this is how, if you were going to be trading in a short-term fashion, you don't want to let this thing get out of your way here, get out of hand. So if you're long at 13, just printed a new low, it seems to be holding. Doesn't look so hot, that's for sure. I think if it breaks it again, you would sell it. So there you'd be stopped out. So you lost 2 points on that. So that's the kind of thing. Honestly, in this type of when the market starts moving like this, it's not the kind of market that you'd be, especially at key supports that are breaking and stuff like that. You wouldn't be doing that type of strategy until it got a little more quieter. So, but that's the mentality where you wouldn't want to be now long at 13. Now you're trading 09s and really breaking down. So you can't let short-term trading, if you're trading for small amounts, you can't let it get out of hand. Look out below. Almost down in the bottom band on the 15-minute. Let's look at the hour and 40. So we're getting close to that next level. And we're back down to Dow 18,000. Just trying to see if it's going to hold at this level. Also looking at the Russell. The Russell index is pretty good tell too. That's breaking lows. And Amazon's hanging in there. But Apple's breaking new lows, so look out below. So still kind of trade in that range. You could see up and then down and up and then down. So I like to look at candles. You see how after a big down move, this is 30 points in one candle. That's pretty bad. It'll get to a certain area. There's usually a decent bounce, which let's see there's usually a pretty good 10-point bounce. We'll see if it comes here. We like to be patient on it. After that pretty big down of the move, even if it bottoms, bounces up, it tests the low, so you got a second shot at it. So now I would say in that range, would be for the 1 hour chart. I'm not seeing anything on the newswire, so that's why I'm hesitant on the to see it really blow through like it did that day. No bounce at all in stock, so let's see if it can make a press lower and then get a better area to bounce. The tough part about these trades and getting short, which was asked before when it was trading up here and I thought it was going down here, why wouldn't you get short? A lot of it's just my own personal trading style, and a lot of it is just personal experience. So I just think that you have to pick and choose with different trades and have a particular mindset for the day versus coming out and taking every shot you can. I'm gonna go back and look at the news flow again because this is getting serious. There's also the Milwaukee ISM, which is a manufacturing component, and that came in 47. That's pretty much recessionary. Up 435 for the day. It's almost you pretty much wait. You gotta wait for a really good trade. Looks like a possible bounce coming. Well, I mean, in perspective, 435 on I'm assuming you're trading ones, but even if you're doing twos, that's a, that's a good day. You want to collect those. I think it's also a psychological thing if you can just keep collecting winning days. That's $8,700 a month. So if you're trading ones, you could then you do that for a month or two, then you could go to start trading double your trade size. Do that for a month or two. Now you're making 16 grand a month. It's not trade trade one lots and then jump to 5 and then 10. It's not that. It's you got to do slow and steady. Seem to be holding here. Apple seemed to also hammer, which is a bullish pattern, and if it can hold. So crude and S&P came back together. Wow. So we made the first bottom. We actually got outside. I'll pull the 1 minute up so we can really laser focus. You look at, we got that 4,500 level. Made a low outside the bands, bounce. See it test that low and hold. And then take out that 03. So here comes the test of the low again. See if that holds. See, Apple is taking out the high of this prior bar right now, or it's right at it. That would be a good confirmation on a relative strength basis. Gonna take out. Still hasn't done it, but the Nasdaq did it without it, so So I made a bottom, tested the low, higher low, that's good. Took out that high, that's good. Now it has to hold this low, and then it will start to turn on the higher time frame. Once that gives a buy signal in 6 more minutes, then the target will be 12. So you're driving down the road right now, your headlights are starting to point up on the 1 minute. Then you go to the 5 minute. So you're anticipating, what is this chart going to look like in the near future? If those, if this holds, then it will get to there. Apple's struggling though. It can't break out like the Nasdaq did. We'll see if crude oil can get this going. Crude's breaking out. So on a 1 minute, it's hitting that band, it'll take a breather. As long as that breather doesn't drag it below here, it should break out to that next, which is it should get back to the gold band at 11. Apple just broke out. Apple's still going up, but the Nasdaq's kind of fading. We'll see if that ran into trouble there on the 1 minute. Crude keeps on going. See some upside targets on crude. Oh yeah, I could get up to 59.5. Pretty extended already here, but just kind of drifting now. Almost back to the band. See if we can get one more push on the NASDAQ. Crude oil is really going, so you got to think that S&P is going to really get going here. So you could see on the morning call talking about like where are the levels that we can go to. You know, you've got that first possible shot. You take a shot. We did over here, made a little money. You know, there's this other shot here at this different level. I'm trying to see where the bounce has been because of the technical damage. This bounce off here, it's a pretty low risk trade, but it looks like it's only made like 3 points so far. So we'll see on how the market can hold in this area if it's a much more serious correction going down into this area. Hard to see that on a Friday, but Friday in the summer, but then sometimes it's pretty thin. I'm still not seeing too much news out there. Bonds are, well, they've spiked today with the bad economic numbers, so. Oh, here we go. Tried to spike it higher and it fell apart. Apple's still chugging along. Okay. Is this a scalp trade or is this a looking for the bigger? Twos, right? Yeah. What it does is, especially if you start to get a trade that gets going, you can take one off, take profits on one, and leave the other one ride. '07 though is pretty aggressive. You like to keep seeing higher lows. So I definitely want to see that 6.25 to hold. So what'll happen is the Nasdaq will on the 1 minute will kind of roll over and test. I'm watching Apple. If Apple doesn't and just hangs here, that's a pretty good tell. I'll look at some other ones. Mr. Softy is also hanging in here. Which was the one? Oh, Google was down pretty good. Google's still hanging in there. Let's see Apple. This is really critical area. Oh, you got out? Okay. So take an anchor price. If it goes down to back to '07 and even blows kind of through it, you might want to start to look to get in at '05, '06. You've got a better cost average. You've booked profits. You're in a stronger position. You always want to be in a strong position when it comes to trading versus trading from losses and weak mental status. So it really is all confidence. You know, if you get a chance to buy it back in at '07, you're really buying it at, since you got out and took a profit, really buying it like '05 and a half. These days are usually kind of strange though. It's like big move, hold. Normally it would bounce, but there's just nothing there. There's no volume. There's a couple hundred contracts trading right now per bar versus 1,600 traded per bar over here. Although when the volume is low, it's a little bit backwards lately. If the volume's low, the market goes up. If the volume's big, the market goes down. In the past, usually when the market was in a bull market, you'd get the volume push, and then the market would go higher. Apple's kind of rolling over, and then it comes right back. We'll see. It's a pretty interesting comparison. Let me go pull up. This is a 15-minute of the S&P. You could see how much it sold off versus the 15-minute. Oh wait, where was the 15-minute? Oh, that looks pretty good actually on the NASDAQ. Looks like it wants to blast off now. Look at that 15-minute. It's probably going to go to 19 next hour. Well, it got back to the band. It's trading almost 11. So the anatomy of a bottom, made a low, tested it, broke that, broke out, tested again, broke that high, and then it's it's really actually a pretty weak bottom, but this market lately gets slow and it'll go more parabolic quicker now. It's kind of like once the all clear is done, it's just straight up. So the target is 17 or 18. Ooh, that's chasing it. So think about that. You bought at 7 and then you bought at 13. The only time you would do is if you kept the 7, then you could add at 13 and you have a better cost basis, but that's chasing a little bit. You gotta just basically get in before the move. I mean, I still think it probably could get up to, let's just say 17. It's just how does it do it? Does it go back down to 10 and then there? Don't chase it. just kind of hanging out. You might as well just get out of 13. I mean, that's 1 point away, so break even isn't so bad. Or take one off if you feel uncomfortable. So both of them or one of them? Remember we have the left and the right up here. So you probably have 2 lots here. For your left click, put 1 lot there. So if you wanted to sell, if you were long 2 at 13 and you wanted to sell 1 at 13, you right click. If I wanted to sell them all, I left click. It's just your trade size, depending on your right or left click. So you can buy 2, sell 1. So I click left click buy 2, right click sell 1. Cancel all. This is the get flat button. Easy peasy. If anyone wants to be in on the conversation that is on the Skype room, get flat button is your friend. It is Dave.mtg trading. You do a search. You do a search on Skype. It's just better because I can see it and it gives a timestamp, obviously. So if I say, hey, we should be buying at 02 and you didn't hear it and it goes to 02 and then it goes rallies 10, 20 points, then there's at least a verification of it. You can also go back and pull older data. I'm in some other trade rooms. It's pretty typical, like this, even this OC trader one where there's like 40 guys in it, and then there's this other, it's part of this bigger group. A lot of them, I mean, some guys seem pretty good, but a lot of them are just lost puppies in the rainstorm. For the visual on that. Or paying attention or trying to see what really doesn't matter. I mean, for us, it's just about the flow of the market, and then the I would highly recommend it. Yep. we'll do that next week. I think you can make 3 to 500 a day, especially trading twos. Just get there, chip away, and you're past because I think you've got the days in, right? You've done at least 5 days on it, so you make 500 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're past, and then you get the gold star. That's what you do. No, that's you back in the 70s. Come on. How do I add? That's funny. You could see how getting out at 13 was a pretty smart move, right? Now you're back down to 7. I actually think it holds. Apple didn't even downtick. I'm just waiting for a possible turn buy signal. Jeff, just throw a test out there to see if you're in there. No, I'll send it. I'll send it to you. There you go. Yep. He lives in Irvine. Oh, on the Irvine. He lives in Orange County. Apparently, the hotbed of day traders in the besides New York and Chicago. To have 900 members in the one trade group is pretty crazy. But I actually traded out of I stayed back in the internet heyday, and I did very well in a short period of time. I'm like, I gotta just take a break before it went all to my head or whatever. So I stayed out by him for a couple months, but then I had to get back to the office, so I start trading out of one of the Bright trading offices. Right. To put it in perspective on this move from, not the exact low, but pretty much right here to here, there was a $1 move in the ETF that matches the Nasdaq 100. So 1,000 shares, it's $1,000. What is that? That's 4,500. So about 15. That's two. That's about, let's just say 15. So that's $300. So basically 300 shares is a one lot. Yeah, definitely. Um, just to get that kind of up and rolling, there are the first group that are kind of taking up the this other trading deal. So we'll get them all into that system, get them up and running, and then within 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have a pretty good feel of it. And then I've basically worked out pretty much a huge slot. So if at that point in time it's the right way to go, then that's what we'll do. All right, we'll see you on the wrap-up call. If I see anything in the room, it's Dave at Dave.mtg trading on Skype. Market, I think it might. I don't know. I think it's going to have a pretty decent ramp at some point in time. See if it makes another push lower. All right. Thanks. Bye.